Female voice banks like Rin, Miku, Luka, Meiko, or even Teto and Gumi have ruled the Vocaloid world for decades. But there was a time when Vocaloid experimented more with male voice banks, and one of these was Hiyama Kiyoteru. And today we're going to look at his past, his present, and a bit of why I think he didn't take off as much as some others. Apologies in advance if I pronounce Hiyama or anyone else's names incorrectly. I feel like if I pronounced Kiyoteru throughout this video, it would just sound silly where I'm a Canadian and you have to pronounce it with an accent, so forgive me for that. Now this is another one of my series going through the history of certain Vocaloids. If you want to look into it more, I do have one on Miki who we are going to mention throughout this video. But anyway, let's get into it. Hiyama was developed by Software in 2009. His vocals are provided by Japanese singer Kiyoshi Hiyama, once again, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and he was released alongside Kai Yuki as a student-teacher duo. As I mentioned before, he was also released alongside Miki, which is something I didn't know to this day, which is really interesting to me, seeing as both of them are some of my favorite Vocaloids. Now, unlike Miku, who is sort of a blank slate that you can put any story or any backstory onto, Hiyama has his own story, and his official profile states this. He is a teacher who participates in a rock band called Ice Mountain on the weekends with the stage name Ice Mountain Teru. Now, he has two voice banks. There is his, of course, sort of original one and the rock one, and the rock one is supposed to be his Ice Mountain sort of variant, which I think is also very cool. It also states in the book that he is raised by a Catholic priest who adopted him. This makes him one of the Vocaloids with the most in-depth character and story compared to someone else, like I said, Miku or Meiko, who have pretty much no story at all, and I think that's super interesting. He was updated to Vocaloid 4 in 2015 with two voice banks, the first being his sort of natural voice, which is supposed to sound like his everyday talking voice, and the second one being his rock bank, which is supposed to sound like his rock band. Then, in March of 2025, he was added to Synthesizer V as the first male voice bank for the 20th anniversary of their company. Now, top 10 Vocaloid characters ranks him at number 27th, with Kai Yuki at 15 and Miki at 17. And now, I looked into a couple different things, but there's really not a lot about him on the internet, so this is one of the only forums or pages that I could find discussing him. And this is one of the only places that I found people that agree with me that he does not sound like Kaito, despite what the vast majority of people say. He does have a deeper voice bank than Kaito, and I'll put these up on screen if you want to read through them a bit more in depth, although they're pretty much the same opinions that I have throughout this video. Now, unlike Miki or Gakupo, there really isn't a lot of content about Hiyama. He's not really a big part of MMD or anything. He's not really a big part of Project Diva, so instead we are going to take a look at some covers. Now, so I don't pronounce anything wrong, and also so I don't get copyrighted, I'm not going to pronounce the names or play the videos, but I will explain a short bit about it, and I will link them in the description below if you want to check them out, and I highly recommend it. All of these covers are absolutely amazing. So let's rapid fire through this. This first one is a DNA cover with him featuring Kaito. This really shows the difference between the two of the voice banks, and I also think they were both just tuned really well in this. I have it downloaded already and it is on a constant loop. This leg train cover displays his smooth vocals perfectly. Unlike some of the other voice banks, even like Miku, who have had decades of voice banks, I find that his is honestly a lot smoother than 90% of the other voice banks out there, and this video just shows it perfectly. Not much to say on this one, but you can hear his voice wavering throughout this, which is super duper cool to me. The breathing at the start of this is next level, and the emotion throughout the entire thing is perfect. Dare I say it is better than the original. More really smooth sounding vocals. I have to say, if you're gonna listen to any of these, this might be the one to start with. I have never heard a bad cover of this song, and this just proves it. It is absolutely stunning. Okay, this one I have notes on. Now, I looked through a lot of Hiyama covers, like I mean a lot of the same song, a lot of different songs, and a lot of songs that I had never heard of. And honestly, despite his whole sort of rock band persona, I did not hear him tune that way often. It's usually just his sort of teacher goody two-shoes thing, which is really strange to me because that's kind of his whole gimmick when he was released. This one does tune him a bit more rock, but honestly, I think it's kind of sad that we haven't seen as many rock covers, and I thought I'd just throw that in here as sort of another takeaway. Once again, I find they do not sound similar and their voices go together so well. We often see Kaito paired with Len or Gakupo, and once again, I love Gakupo, but I find that maybe Hiyama goes the best with Kaito out of any of them. Another very human sounding cover. Maybe he's not as popular because he doesn't sound as robotic. I don't think so, but maybe. But if you do like the more human sounding Vocaloids, he is perfect. This is my favorite. It's also one of the last ones we're going to talk about. Just go listen to it. It is perfect and it kind of encapsulates everything that you need to know about him. Now, of course, it's not all good, and there is a big problem with Hiyama and Kaiyuki, and that is that they get shipped together way more than you'd actually think. Now, keep in mind, Kaiyuki is a child. She is in elementary school, and his canonical age is 22. But there is multiple covers and fan art of the two of them shipped together, and in my research, I have already stumbled upon some really strange covers, and I just thought I had to point that out, that there is a big flaw with these two characters, especially with Hiyama. What are we doing? Why is he with a literal child? So that's about it on Hiyama. There's not a lot of content, and there's honestly not a lot of fandom, unlike Gakupo or even Miki, who is one of my favorites. There is nothing about him. There's no short videos, there's hardly any fan art or fan videos, so what do we talk about now? Well, I'm going to get into why I think that is this way. Why didn't he take off, and why is he still underrated? First is his design. Unlike the core 6 Vocaloids, that's what I call them, he doesn't have a very distinct look. There's no really eye-catching colors or bright hair. He looks like a manga character. He looks like your standard anime man. I swear I have seen a gazillion manga covers with this guy on it, and here is a couple examples. There's no hate to his character design or any manga character. I just think that this is what helps make him not stand out. In a world where Vocaloids are absolutely stunning and have so many different designs, I mean, hell, Miki is a robot. And then what is he, a school teacher with brown hair and brown eyes? Like, this might be a reason. Second is that he doesn't have any viral or super popular songs. Unlike Hidab Normal with Adichie Rei or Dancing Samurai with Gakupo, none of Hiyama's songs really took off. Now, not saying that his songs are bad, he has some absolute bangers that I think you should check out. But with not having any songs that are really popular, this does also help him not stand out. I mean, Adichie Rei was pretty much unknown until Hidab Normal came out, but because of Hidab Normal, everyone's looking into her now. And the last thing that might be the biggest thing is that we don't see him interact with any of the core 6. We don't see him have any covers with any of them other than Kaito. We don't see him in MMD. We don't even see a lot of fan art. He's usually hanging out with Kaiyuki or Miki, who in themselves are not that popular. Let alone the fact that if you're with Miku, it's pretty much like a golden gate into Vocaloid fandom. And that is a deep dive, or as deep of a dive as you can do, into Hiyama Kiyoteru. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you know a lot about him? Is he one of your favorites? What are your opinions? Once again, I'm sorry if the visuals in this aren't that intriguing. There really isn't a lot of content, and I didn't want to steal some people's fan art, so I just used what I could. Anyway, I will see you really soon. Bye!